everybody, Jeff here with 242. So glad you could join us. If you weren't able to make it to the live version of what we're about to go through, that's okay because we didn't get it recorded. So this is the overdub. This is the new version. So glad you could be with us as we journey through this new conversation called The Way Today, and we're going to look at different snapshots throughout Jesus' life in the Gospels where Jesus showed us the way to live. And so part of the reason that we're having this conversation is because of there's so many different things, there's so many different variables in our culture today, suggesting how we should be and suggesting how Christians should be. And really, when it comes down to it, one of the most detrimental things, I think, to our faith, one of the most detrimental things that we think to the faith of people around us, to the people believing how legitimate this thing is this idea of spiritual consistency, or what is detrimental is spiritual inconsistency. And you and I both know this. When we find ourselves at that dry spot, when we find ourselves in that place where the way we're living doesn't line up with the things that we hear, the things that we believe, the things that we say are true, it causes this tension in our lives. And so we want to have that conversation. And there's really 4 different ways we think, as we were kind of boiling this whole thing down, where we start to have that spiritual inconsistency. There's 4 different things that cause us to have that inconsistency. The first one is appetites. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in just a few minutes. So appetites, where the things that we desire take us from the things that we truly want. There's this idea of hurry. We're going to talk about that next week, where we can run around from place to place doing thing to thing and run right past some of the most important things that are in our lives. So that's the second one. Appetites, hurry, and then cynicism. It is so easy for us to get to that place where because of the things that are happening around us and the information we know, it challenges some of the things that we believe, the faith that we have, and we really have to wrestle with that. And wrestle with the cynicism that exists just in our world and the cynicism that can come up in our own minds. And the last one, so you got appetites, you got hurry, cynicism, and then fear. What are the things that are stopping us from being launched out and going the places that God has called us to go? So today, I want to talk about appetites. I want to dive into this conversation about what are those things that we desire. See, it's natural for you and I don't know about you, it's natural for me to desire a steak. I am a big fan of steak. If you had to tell me steak or anything else, I would probably pick a good, not a well done, but a well-cooked, medium to medium rare, nice little steak with some marble on it and some great sauce. You get the point. The point is, I love that stuff. But the fact of the matter is that while that in and of itself, having one steak, having a moderate steak, that's not a bad thing. What can tend to get us off the rails is when you want all of the steak, right? When you want all the steak that's out there, right? And maybe you want that steak and that person's steak and that person's steak as well. I remember in college, we were at Steak and Shake, similar. We were at Steak and Shake one night, and a buddy of ours didn't pay for a thing. He called dibs. This was an important rule. He called dibs, and he walked out of there without paying for a thing. He got a whole Frisco melt, which is the best sandwich that they make, a plate of cheese fries, which is delicious, a thing of baked beans, a milkshake, and a Coke, and he didn't pay a dime because he called dibs. The fact of the matter is while that was great for Ben, the point is that we can get to the place where we can desire so many other things, and our appetites, which by and large naturally are healthy for us, are going to drive us to go towards this other direction and pull us away. So I want to talk about this idea of appetites, and I wanted to focus in on Jesus and the words that he says about us as he prays for us right before he's about to go to the cross. And so if you have a Bible, we're going to be in John 17. While you turn there, I want to let you know, if you ain't have anything, wow, that was really impressive. If you don't have anything going on, October 27th, a group of us, we're all heading over to Steel Farms over there in Craigville, and we would love for you to join us. We're going to meet at 7 o'clock, hang out, go through the corn maze, and have some hot cocoa. We would love to see you there. 7 o'clock. I think it costs $5 is what we're saying. For more information, make sure you check our Facebook page and our Instagram. We'll get you information out that way. But join us for October 27th as we go over and hang out at Steel Farms. So, John 17, let's jump in here. This is what Jesus says. But now I am coming to you, and these things I speak in the world, that they may have my joy fulfilled in themselves. I've given them your word, and the world has hated them because they are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. I do not ask that you take them out of the world, but that you keep them from the evil one. They are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. Sanctify them in the truth. Your word is truth. As you sent me into the world, so I have sent them into the world. And for their sake I consecrate myself, that they also may be sanctified in truth. Now, I don't know about you, but this just humbles me in a lot of ways because Jesus doesn't pray that we would be perfect, that we would be, he recognizes that there's going to be a process here. And the reason we know this is because of the word that he uses for this idea of sanctify. Now, it's a big Christian word. If you haven't been in church for a while, this is probably something that you're going to go, well, what in the world does that mean? And you, like me, would go, yeah, I kind of want to know. So there's this idea of the original word and what sanctify meant is hagiazo. Hagiazo, that's what it means in Greek, or that's what it is in Greek. And it means to purify, right? It's this process of going from one place to the next, from dead to alive, from unsanctified to sanctified, from unholy to holy. And the idea here is that Jesus commits us, he commits his disciples to this process. He commits us to this process of being purified from where we were to where we're going to be, right? And the reality is that when it comes to our appetites, those are the things that can draw us away. Those are the things that can pull us from following after Jesus, from being close to him. It can convince us that we need something else in addition to Jesus. Maybe the way we might say this is that the truth of Jesus transforms us to be like Jesus, right? He says, your word is truth. You are truth, God. You are the truth. And so in the process of bringing them closer to me, in the process of the things that I've revealed to them, make them closer to you. Make them more like you. The truth about Jesus, the truth about who he is, the truth about what he's done, the truth about what he will do, makes it possible for us to be transformed by him because it gives us a confidence that we don't need the things that our appetites say we do. See, it's not wrong to desire companionship. It's not wrong to desire good food. It's not wrong to desire any of the things that would make you healthy. God gave them to you. The problem comes when they're not disciplined. The problem comes when they don't get checked. The problem comes when you just pursue the things that you want, right? And so here's the idea. When we talk about this idea of appetites, there's plenty of opportunities where we could see in the Gospels where Jesus lives by what he calls the Spirit and doesn't live according to the flesh, right? That he lives into the thing, he recognizes that there's things that he desires, but in order for him to avoid those things and allow those things to drag him off to do all the things that desires would do, he lives according to the Spirit. And the reason what that allows him to do is to discipline those appetites. Maybe the way we would say this is appetites are controlled when they're met with discipline. Appetites are controlled when they're met with discipline. And this is an important idea because of what it means for us, right? Realize that there's a thing that happens when we control ourselves, when we give ourselves to discipline, right? Nobody truly loves discipline. And if you do, you're weird. No, I'm just kidding. You're not weird. My point is that nobody really truly loves to say, I don't need this thing that I like to do. I like playing golf. It's a fun thing for me. However, I also enjoy being with people. I also enjoy doing other things. I also enjoy being with my wife. The point is that when it comes down to this idea of discipline, it's not something that you desire to do, right? Because you're controlling something, you're trying to rein in something that you desire to do. And so when it comes down to it, the word discipline that we're using here is to train oneself to do something in a controlled and habitual way. So again, the sanctification process is a process to be purified. And this discipline idea, in order to control those appetites that may draw us away, that may pull us away, we have to train ourselves to do those things. Now, here's the thing. There's only one way to really be trained, or to train yourself, is either to follow an instruction manual, to find a process, or find someone who can come alongside and teach you, right? Look what Jesus says in John 17. I do not ask for these only, so his disciples, but also for those who will believe in me through their word, that they may all be one, just as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, that they also may be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. The glory that you have given me, I have given to them, that they may be one, even as we are one. I in them, and you in me, that they may become perfectly one, so that the world may know that you sent me and loved them, even as you have loved me. And here's where we get to the rub. Father, I desire that they also, whom you have given me, may be with me where I am, to see my glory where you have given me, because you loved me before the foundation of the world. O righteous Father, even though the world does not know you, I know you, and these know that you have sent me. I have made known to them your name, and here's it is, I will continue to make it known, that the love with which you have loved me may be in them, and I in them. Now, when it comes to this discipline thing, if you want to work out and you want to get better, you're going to invest in either a gym or a personal trainer. You're going to find someone who's going to help you do that, right? And you're going to invest either money, you're probably going to invest money, you're probably going to invest time, and you're going to spend effort to try and make whatever it is, whether you're getting healthy, losing weight, whatever it may be, you're going to try and discipline yourself so that you can continue to live that lifestyle. Here's the deal, and you know this, and I've learned this, and we all understand this, but it just needs to be said. You become who or what you invest your time. You become who or what you invest your time. So if you spend a ton of time playing video games, you're probably going to be a pretty good video gamer. If you spend a ton of time playing golf, you're probably going to be a better golfer. If you spend a ton of time working on communicating through social media, you're probably going to be pretty good at communicating through social media. The point of this is that if you want to be disciplined, if you want to discipline your appetites, if you want to live not according to that fleshly idea, not according to those things that I desire, and live according to the Spirit, you have to spend time with the one who gives you the Spirit. You have to spend time with the one who will show you how to live according to the Spirit. Maybe we might say it like this. You become more like Jesus as you invest time with Jesus. You become more like Jesus as you invest time with Jesus. And the fact of the matter is you know this, it's not a hard concept, that in order to become more like Jesus, you need to spend time with Jesus. If you see someone who you want to be like, you're going to find time to be with them and let them mentor you and have conversations with them about life and the things that they've learned. So the question becomes, how are you going to control your appetites? We might say it like this. Control your appetites like Jesus did by disciplining your time with Jesus. Control your appetites like Jesus by disciplining your time with Jesus. So let me ask you this, practical step. What are you doing? How much time are you spending with Jesus? I got to be honest with you, as I'm preparing for this conversation, this talk, I'm convicted. I'm convicted about when am I going to be consistently spending time. I mean, it's easy to say, okay, I'm going to do it at this time, and then something comes up and you got to go do that thing and whatever. But when are you going to consistently, or how are you going to consistently invest time spending with Jesus? Now realize, I'm not saying that if you don't do this, well, then you should forget your Christianity. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you want to be more like Jesus, if you want to draw near to him, if you want to become more and more like him, if you want to see the world like he does, if you want to spend your life living it according to what he has for you, how much time are you spending with him? And I'm not talking about watching a sermon, although that sometimes helps. I'm not talking about at a worship service, although that sometimes helps. I'm talking about when are you getting away, spending time in the closet or in your secret space where you're just one-on-one, you and Jesus, allowing him to open your eyes to something new and something that he wants to show you. Here's the deal. Until we do that, consistently, regularly, whatever it may be, until we start doing that regularly, we're going to struggle to be like Jesus. Why? Because you can only be like Jesus if you're going to spend time and be connected with him and spend concentrated time allowing him to speak to you. So let me challenge you with this. What would happen if this week you decided, I'm going to spend at least 15 minutes, and that's not very that long. You can do a whole lot in 15 minutes. I'm going to spend 15 minutes, my Bible, my journal, just sitting down, shutting my phone off, and spending time with Jesus. What would that look like this week? When is that going to happen? How is it going to happen? Who's going to hold you accountable? So today in your small groups, I would love it. Love it if you'd had a conversation where you'd ask the question, how are you spending time with Jesus? And are you allowing him to give you the tools, to give you the resources, to give you the practice, the discipline to hold back those appetites? Because here's the deal. I'm going to guess that the things God wants you to work on yourself, you don't know about right now because you're not spending time with him. If that's the case, if you are spending time with him, you're probably recognizing parts about who you are and the things you desire that maybe need to be controlled or disciplined. But the question is today, how are you doing? Are you moving yourself towards being like Jesus by spending more and more time with Jesus? Or are you just saying, let's just mail this in? Life's busy, we get it. But what can you do to put something in your life right now to spend more time with Jesus. Now, next week, we're going to dive into this idea of hurry. You're like, Jeff, we just talked about schedule. We're going to talk about hurry and not just schedule, but how are you allowing Jesus to spend time with you, and how are you allowing yourself to be content with where he's at? We're excited for this conversation. Hope you'll join us for the next 3 weeks as we continue to dive into this idea of the way today as we see how to follow Jesus in a world that doesn't suggest we should. Love you. Have a great week.